In Lesson 2-3, you will be multiplying positive and negative fractions. Before we begin, I want to go through an area model for finding 1/3 of 2/5. In this first rectangle, we've shaded in 2/5 of the rectangle. Now, if we want to take 1/3 of that, we're going to divide it into 3 equal sections in the other direction. And now that part was shaded yellow. And this part where they overlap, the green part, is where you will find 1/3 of 2/5. 1/3 of 2/5 is 2 out of 15 equal parts. Now, if you look back at our original fractions, 1/3 of 2/5, it really is just 1 times 2, which is 2, and 3 times 5, which is 15. So when you're multiplying fractions, you just multiply the numerators and the denominators. Before we go and try some, I have a couple quick steps here for multiplying fractions. The first one is that if you have any mixed numbers, you want to change them to improper fractions, or if you have whole numbers or integers, you want to write them over 1 so they are a fraction as well. Step 2 is to simplify before multiplying by looking for a numerator and a denominator that can be divided by the same number. You don't have to do this step, but it makes your simplifying easier if it's done before you multiply rather than waiting till the end. And then step 3 would be to multiply the numerators, put it on the top. Step 4, multiply the denominators, put it on the bottom. And then the last step, simplify if needed. So in our first example here, the 3 and the 9 can both be divided by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and change this 3 to a 1 because 3 goes into 3 one time and 3 goes into 9 3 times. Now multiply the numerators. 4 times 1 is 4. 3 times 5 is 15. At this point, if you want to stop the video and try the next 3 on your own, you can. All right, in this example here, the 2 and the 4 can both be divided by 2. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 twice. Now multiply your numerators. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. In our next one, you can actually simplify twice. 5 and 20 can both be divided by 5. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 20 4 times. And then the 3 and the 12 both can be divided by 3. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 12 4 times. Now multiply your numerators. 1 times 1 is 1, and 4 times 4 is 16. In the last example of this type, there isn't anything that can be simplified ahead of time, so just multiply the numerators and the denominators. 49 and 160 do not have any common factors, so 49 160ths is the final answer. Example 2 is the same thing, except for now they throw in some negative signs, so you have to remember what we learned in Chapter 1 about multiplying positive and negative numbers. Before you even start, I would decide if your answer is going to be positive or negative. In this case, a negative times a positive. If you have one of each, it's always going to be negative. Remember, bad things happening to good people is bad. Now look for anything that can be simplified. The 3 and the 6 both can be divided by 3. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 6 twice. 5 times 1 is 5. And 2 times 8 is 16. Before I go any further, I just want to point out this study tip over on the side. As long as you only have one negative sign on the fraction, that makes that number negative. If it's written in the middle, top, or bottom, it all really means the same thing because the fraction bar is like a divide sign. And if you have one of each number when you divide, it's always going to be negative. So it doesn't matter if it's written on the top or the bottom or in the middle, it's going to have the same value. You could pause the video now and try the next 3. All right, in this example, positive times a negative, I'm going to decide right now that it's going to be a negative answer. So I'm going to put that over where my answer is going to go so I don't forget about it. I can simplify the 3 and the 9 by dividing both by 3. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 9 3 times. I can also simplify the 8 and the 4 because they can both be divided by 4. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 8 twice. Now go ahead and multiply. 2 times 1 is 2, and 3 times 1 is 3. Negative 2/3 is the answer. Again, in this next example, you have one of each, so it's going to be negative. Remember, bad things happening to good people is bad. And then you can look for something to simplify ahead of time. The 3 and the 9 both can be divided by 3. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 1 times 7 is 7. 5 times 3 is 15. So negative 7/15. And in our last example of this type, a negative times a negative is always going to be a positive. Remember, bad things happening to bad people is good. Now go ahead and see if there's anything that can be simplified ahead of time. The 2 and 6 both can be divided by 2. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Multiply your numerators. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 7 is 7. So 3/7 is the final answer. All right, our next example is with mixed numbers, so you're going to have to do that first step on this one. You're going to have to change the mixed numbers to improper fractions, and to do that, remember it's times, plus, and then keep the same denominator. So 4 times 2 plus the 1 extra. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 extra is 9. Keep the denominator the same. And 2 times 3 is 6 plus the 2 extra is 8. Keep the denominator the same. Look for things that can be simplified. We can do two, two, um, two steps here of simplifying. 2 and 8 both can be divided by 2. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 8 4 times. And 3 and 9 both can be divided by 3. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 9 3 times. And then you have 3 times 4, which is 12, and 1 times 1, which is 1. But 12 over 1, it really is just 12. All right, you can pause the video and try the next one on your own. All right, first change it to an improper fraction, 1 times 2 plus the 1 extra. This is going to be 3/2 times 1 times 3 plus the 2 extra, which is 5. Keep the denominator the same. This one I can simplify before multiplying because the 3 and the 3 both can be divided by 3. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 3 once. Now if I multiply my numerators, 1 times 5 is 5, and 2 times 1 is 2. This, however, is an improper fraction because the numerator is bigger than the denominator, so we're going to write our answer now as a mixed number. 2 goes into 5 2 times, with 1 extra left over, and you keep the bottom the same. So 5/2 is really 2 and 1/2. All right, our very last example is a word problem. A roller coaster at an amusement park is 160 feet tall. If a new roller coaster is built that is 2 3/5 times the height of the existing coaster, what is the height of the new roller coaster? Well, we want to figure out what 2 3/5 times the height of the existing one, which is 160 feet. So 2 3/5 times 160. The 2 3/5 needs to be changed to an improper fraction. 2 times 5 is 10, plus the 3 extra is 13. keep the denominator the same, and then times 160. I'm going to write that whole number as a fraction by writing it over 1. And now I'm going to go ahead and do some simplifying before I start. I know that 5 and 160 can both be divided by 5. 5 goes into 5 once, and if I'm not sure how many times it goes into 160, I can go off to the side and divide 160 by 5. 5 goes into 16 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 goes into 10 2 times. And 2 times 5 is 10. Since there's 0 left over, we're finished. It goes in there exactly 32 times. Now we're going to multiply the numerators. 32 times 13. I'm going to have to do that math. I don't know the answer to that in my head. 32 times 13. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. Then you put a 0 to hold that place and move over to the 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. Now add these two rows together. 6, 11, and 4. So we end up with 416 in the numerator and 1 times 1 in the denominator. So it is just 416 feet tall.